What is a black swan? A black swan is an event that it's really hard.
Well, mine's a little dark. I just feel a lot of concern that 2024 may be the year of a black swan event. This is a national security event with high impact that's very hard to predict. There are a number of concerns that I have that factor into that. And not only this sort of enduring heightened threat level that we're facing, the wars in Israel, also Ukraine. And we're so divided in this country in ways that we haven't seen before. And I think that just creates fertile ground for our adversaries like North Korea, China, and Iran. And that's what concerns me most.
What is a black swan? A black swan is an event that it's really hard to predict. It's almost impossible to predict. It's really rare, but when it happens, it has devastating consequences on a company or the economy itself. So it's really hard to actually see a real life black swan. Actually, back in the 16th centuries, they thought they didn't exist at all until they found one. And that's where the term comes from. So whenever you see someone talking about a black swan, think about the 2008 housing bubble, the 2001 dot-com bubble, or COVID-19. Very hard to predict, but devastating consequences to the economy.
Did CBS just come out and confirm everything we feared about this movie? Catherine, a news anchor on CBS, comes out yesterday and says,
2024 may be the year of a black swan event.
I love how everyone that's obsessing over this movie is being called a conspiracy theorist. I think it has a lot to do with predictive programming. Population just should accept the narrative of this is how things are going to be. I don't think it's a coincidence or anything like that because, I mean, look at The Simpsons. The Time magazine covered their prediction 17 times. There's that possibility that they're just doing all of this to taunt us or just, generating the conversation to get more traffic. And if you don't believe in any of this, I mean, you're more than welcome to listen to the world leaders themselves who are saying there is a potential for a cyber attack. Which then goes back to this movie, right? The Black Swan event and then Catherine on CBS. Just take a moment and go back to the beginning though to talk about simple imagery and predictive programming. What I'm talking about is the White Lion ship crashing on the beach. That is very symbolic because the White Lion ship was one of the ships that brought the African slaves over. Now, people never want to forget the past, but if you want to continue sowing seeds of divide, you're going to get divide. And there is simple imagery all throughout this movie. The All Seeing Eye, the song that plays in the opening. This scene with the deer is just standing there all zombie-like. I did a video on this yesterday with the zombie deer disease. Tesla cars being, driven into one another, unmanned and robotic. Interestingly enough, on the news this morning, there was a story about one of the Tesla robots attacking a man. There's also a reference point in the movie where he explains how just the other day, his friends, this big group of people, asked him to move some money around. Big group of people that's in charge, right? The Obamas created a movie based on divide, a color divide. Hatred among the people with overlords ruling everything and destroying a civilization itself. Have the Obamas shown us what to expect? Or is it just, are we missing something else?
The thing that I think about, these black swan events, to me, that's one that I would pay very close attention to.
We all know, but still pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber attack. To use the COVID-19 crisis as a timely opportunity to reflect on the lessons the cybersecurity community can draw and improve our preparedness for a potential cyber pandemic.
If you think that this is it and this is another one-off like they want you to believe, U.S. bank deposits fall $76.2 billion led by large institutions. And they're now the lowest since July 2021, reversing prior increase, right, from SVB and Signature Bank and all those deposits that went in. And lending rose a second week, led by residential consumer loans. So is that people taking money out of the equity in their homes to spend to try and maintain their standard of living?
How to prepare for a black swan event. What is a black swan event? It comes from the financial world, actually. 3 major features of a black swan event is, number 1, when it happens, it is unexpected, very unexpected. Number 2, it has widespread and sometimes catastrophic consequences. And number 3, in hindsight, a lot of people say, duh, you know, of course this happened. It was kind of predictable, but no one saw it ahead of time. Ironically enough, we're kind of living through a black swan event, which started in the beginning of 2020. For the population at large, it was a classic black swan event, maybe the biggest black swan event to date in modern history, as in something happened that was unexpected for large numbers of people. It has widespread effects and consequences for all populations. And in hindsight, you could say, well, duh, was predictable. So I can already hear the Love and Light Brigade. We love you guys. Love and Light Brigade says, well, why are you even talking about such a thing? Why are you manifesting a bad event? Why are you even thinking about those things? Well, first of all, we don't live in fear, and we're not scared. Second of all, we don't see disruptive events as bad. As a matter of fact, we know disruption is part of the transformational process that we're in. In our experience, there is no transformation without a disruptive event. We always affirm that it's for the highest good of all.
I'm putting my ass on the line. I'm telling you, there is a black swan event coming. I don't know if we're going to war with Putin. Another corona is going to come out that is not curable. I don't know whether the Federal Reserve is going to finally implode. I don't know what it is, but it's coming.
To avoid going into wars or running thin. So now we're going to have to go into war.
The problem is this country doesn't know how to fix an economic downturn without going into war. And that dates as far back as the Civil War. Yes, in school we're taught that it was about freeing the slaves, but it was really about the North being threatened by the South's economic power and needing to take the South down by getting rid of their resource, which is slaves. So the North could usurp that power and create an economic powerhouse known as America. That's all to say, it's in the very fabric of this country to go to war when there's some type of economic problem going on. This country relies on military investment to regulate our business cycles. It relies on military investment to give people jobs by inscripting them in the military and by fueling military industries. And yes, we've had time frames in history where we've reinvested in people at its core, but those are usually very brief and just not a part of how American society functions. And as much as ABC and CBS Evening News will try to frame our economy as stronger than ever with more jobs than ever, and try to frame involvement in Ukraine as something that's moral and just, and supporting Israel as something that's moral and just, that's all a framework to ensure that this country is ready to use its military prowess to restart the economy again in 2024.
You know, it's better to be in a place where you're just like, this is my place and I'm defending it with these firearms, but until things calm down, you know, until like electricity is restored after the EMP attack or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen.
There'll be a nuclear attack?
No, there's going to be, you know, it's pretty easy to take down a society that's digital.
Oh, yeah. Once you unplug that, and then but that's a crazy feeling when you're like, okay, because your first thought is, let me call somebody.
Nope.
Your phone isn't going to work.
No calling, no oil through the pipelines, no food delivery.
God's going to have the busiest afternoon.
No airlines, no one on the roads. Dams fail, like it all, you know, if you've put everything online, which, because the people who run our country are so stupid, they've actually done that, you are so vulnerable that it's unbelievable. And you're using Chinese servers and switchers, and like at that point, you have no control. You don't need to drop a nuke on anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. First of all,
just
if anybody's doing
the
any of that
circuits.
shit, do not nuke.
You don't need to.
Yeah.
You don't need to.
Let us at least enjoy the mystery of it for a little while, too.
But people are that doesn't mean just no DoorDash. That means no anything.
And the last factor I want to mention is resilience, the capability to bounce back, because there will be certainly what we call the black swans, the unpleasant surprises.
He doesn't know how that's going to happen. Wasn't speculating about exactly how something like that is going to happen, meaning that the 2024 election doesn't occur. But that's pretty much what he said, was that he can see a scenario, as I can, a scenario that we don't have an election in 2024, that some other, and they call them black swans, some other black swan type event occurs.
They got something planned for us. Make sure we stay prayed up, and most important, stay in the Word.
There's some strange stuff going around the world recently. California has had huge waves all throughout this west coast. And just today, Japan had a massive earthquake, triggering a massive tsunami. But I guess this is not the only place that an earthquake took place. Check this guy out.
Earthquakes and tsunami warnings all over the world today, as not just Japan, but Hawaii, Alaska, California, Yellowstone, Montana, Indonesia, the Virgin Islands, El Salvador, New Mexico, Puerto Rico, Fiji, Russia, Texas, Chile, and the Northern Mariana Islands have all experienced earthquakes in the last 24 hours, as today, January 1st, 2024, the first day of the new year, it seems that the entire world is trembling. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the latest video footage so you can see it for yourself, and the tsunamis that are pouring in. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This all hitting on the first day of 2024.
There's a lot of theories out there on why this stuff is going on. Some say it's climate change. Some say it's the government trying out secret weapons. But I believe that we are living in the last days.
I just feel a lot of concern that 2024 may be the year of a black swan event.
Hey y'all, Hugh Hefner prepping here. Let me add some commentary. So typically after a black swan event, in hindsight, after the fact, we can tell that all the signs were there that something is going to happen. So we can see the signs, so it's not going to be a black swan event. Y'all have a chance to do something about this right now. Also, speaking to all the countries that hate us, we don't like us very much right now either. None of these motherfuckers represent us. Also, why is this news? Peppers have been telling y'all this for decades. Granted, we tell you it's going to happen every year. It ain't necessarily happened every year yet. Other thing, why we got to wait till 2024? Let's kick it off. Now, y'all know I'm not the one to tell you that something is going to happen. But, man, if something was going to happen, don't you think it would happen in 2024? Now, most of the time, I think we are too far gone to save it. And I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that there are more people than politicians, more people than government, more people than elites, more people. I'm going to walk away for effect and scream it. More people! And it's a stitch, so I have to walk back. I can't edit it. More people! Happy New Year!